Hello again, folks. This is David Bell, 19-year veteran in the mortgage industry, Vice President at Gershman Mortgage here in beautiful Clive, Iowa, certified credit counselor, and Financial Peace University instructor. And today we'll be completing a week's worth of videos, posts, and memes, all centered around the vital importance that a budget serves in the big picture of personal responsibility. And we're going to do that by zooming in on what we call the final piece of the puzzle, the zero-sum cash flow plan. As Dave Ramsey is known for saying, you'll either learn to manage your money or the lack of it will always manage you. If you're planning big steps like maybe buying a house in the near future, you owe it to yourself at least to heed this message. Otherwise, you run the risk of biting off more than you can chew. This is because many lenders out there will simply qualify you based on your debt-to-income ratios that are derived from your gross income. This is a terrible and dangerous practice that takes place in lending these days. Having a focused budget with a planned mortgage payment range will help you avoid such a pitfall. This step, along with other due diligence, will allow you to fully enjoy your new home instead of suffering buyer's remorse. So we've gone over the initial steps to create a simple budget, as it was a great way to see what kind of flexibility you have in your monthly income versus the expenses that you had. If you were able to see that you had cash left over at the bottom of the sheet, it gave you an idea of how much, if any, you could increase your monthly housing expenses. Now, using the zero-sum cash flow plan, we're going to take that $500 because we don't just allow that extra cash to float there at the bottom of the form anymore. You don't allow it just to sit there in your pocket either, as we know it's human nature to likely spend that money. So we take this last leap towards completing the zero-sum cash flow plan by allocating those funds. Whether you end up creating a sinking fund for perhaps down payment, upping your investment dollars, adding more to your rainy day fund, or who knows, maybe you even decide to increase spending in the different areas that you maybe have been a little too frugal on when you first put together the budget. It doesn't really matter. The key is that when you're doing a zero-sum cash flow plan, to allocate those funds, that you end up with zero at the bottom of the sheet. Now, warning, doing a zero-sum cash flow plan does not mean your actual bank account goes to zero. That's not the case. You really should always have a buffer in your account, just in case your math is off here or there. So the way I think of a zero-sum cash flow plan is similar to my days as a non-commissioned officer in the United States Marine Corps. When my Marines had a task, man, they were amazing at getting it done. It was done timely and in an efficient manner. But when they didn't have something to do, well, that's when they likely get into trouble. And yes, I was the same way as a young Marine. So I learned early on to have a scheduled plan to keep them busy. The same goes for your money. Treat every dollar as if it was one of your troops, as if it was an employee. Whatever you need to use to visualize those dollars as, that's what you need to do, and then task that money with a specific duty. This way, the likelihood of those dollars being spent frivolously is far less likely to happen. And here's another positive effect of doing a zero-sum cash flow plan. As you adjust the math, giving each dollar a job will remove the guilt of spending that you may currently experience without having a budget. It will also give you control over your money, which you may feel you're lacking otherwise. Actually, having your money managed feels the polar opposite of the bread and water images that usually we think of when we hear the word budget. Instead, it feels like you just received a raise, and it will give you the insight you need to make informed decisions on future ideas like what you can afford for a new home. Otherwise, you may walk into the home buying process blindfolded and dependent on others who may or may not put their financial concerns above yours. And if you find yourself struggling to get a budget started, please know I help people put together cash flow plans all the time. Feel free to private message me if you need help setting up one, or if you need an accountability partner and staying consistent with your budget. And remember, knowledge is power, and it's very lightweight, but the devil is in the details. I'm David Bell with Gershman Mortgage. Get educated, not sold.